and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name is Brian, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Amanda and Brody to debate where these episodes rank amongst all Star Wars content. This week, we're discussing the Clone Wars Season 2 episodes 18 and 19, The Zillo Beast. I've been looking forward to this one, and I'm sure Brody has too, as a big Godzilla fan. Amanda, can you give us a rundown?
Sure. So, in these two episodes, the Republic seeks fuel from Malastare and debates using the electroproton bomb against the Separatists. The bomb decimates the enemy but awakens a massive Zillo beast. After a battle, Anakin and Mace suggest preserving the creature for study, but Dodge Urus wants they compromise with stun tanks, but Ursu's fuel plan backfires, enraging the beast. After a destructive rampage, it's subdued and seemingly dead. Malastare joins the Republic, and the Zillo Beast is transported to Coruscant for study, raising ethical concerns among the Jedi. The Zillo Beast is brought to Coruscant for study, but Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi fear its danger. Chancellor Palpatine orders its death, but Dr. Sinover Bowl argues for its preservation, suggesting it might be sentient. Anakin and Padme advocate for the creature's rights, prompting debate at the Senate. When attempts to euthanize it fail, the Zillo Beast escapes, rampaging across Coruscant towards Palpatine. Anakin devises a plan to save the Chancellor, resulting in the Zillo Beast's demise. Palpatine orders the creature to be cloned, ensuring its sacrifice wasn't in vain.
Now, was it sacrificed in vain? We find out later in the Bad Batch as it wreaks havoc yet again. I'm glad that we finally got to see this continuation of this storyline because it's one of those open plot lines that's been open for so long. It was interesting. I was actually watching the Star Wars Explained review of this episode, and they were talking about like, oh, we don't know if like Palpatine's a clone. And I saw that their video came out like 4 months before Rise of Skywalker. Wow. So I was like, oh, I wonder if like, I don't know. For me, it kind of changes things a little bit. Just like this is the first hint at Palpatine going for this cloning science kind of technology investment that I think, you know, the whole time they might have been planning to tie that in at some point. Because I know in Legends, Palpatine actually is a clone. So I think maybe at this point when they made this episode, they were thinking like eventually we could tie this into some legend, you know, maybe not. And that's kind of the beauty of keeping things ambiguous. But I do love like all the ethics with the Jedi. It seems very clear how easily manipulated by Palpatine they are. I don't know if y'all got that same vibe from Windu especially.
Yeah, and I really liked the ethical concerns over it, and still how this beast is like destroying like a whole planet, and they're like, no, we can't kill it, even though it's like killing a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. I thought the funniest part was like Mace Windu pulls out his lightsaber, he says, "Stop hurting this innocent creature, or I'll dismember you with my laser sword." And,
yeah.
And then the Doug is like, "We're innocent life forms too, are we not?" Like, that really made Windu think, like, maybe it's more about what you want instead of what's actually right or wrong. Clearly, they don't stick to their code very, very long after Palpatine says, "Oh, no, we'll do whatever I want," because this is a bigger thing. He's always able to use the war as, like, this fear-mongering kind of, like, excuse to do whatever he wants or whatever is in his favor. It's like, hey, there's a bigger issue here, and we could use this for science reasons. So let's just take it back to Coruscant, the worst place possible for a gigantic creature that's immune to lasers.
Yeah. Why don't they have like a better science planet for testing creatures like that? You know, like a control place, you know, not just like the most populated planet in the universe.
Right. It's that Republic dogma. You know, that's kind of the theme of all these Godzilla movies that this is based on too, right? Is like, oh yeah, we're doing our own thing. We humans we can just let these nukes rip, and there's going to be no consequences. And then, you know, lo and behold, that's what Godzilla represents, right, Brody? Can you give us a little bit more insight into the whole Godzilla lore? And I love the metaphor with the bomb in this episode too. It's quite beat for beat from Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time we've had a true kaiju in Star Wars. Overall, Didn't love it. Watched it, and it was pretty for me line for line from King Kong. You go into this one environment, you take it out, you whatever, you lure it to sleep with gas, you tie it up, you bring it back to the big city, and then sure enough, it just starts throwing people, gets onto these, whatever. And their Empire State Building was the Senate, gets
Mhm.
to the top of there, and it's looking for Palpatine. It's out for blood, and it sensed him, and yeah, and came pretty close taking
Right.
Palpatine out.
Yet
So
once again, all the arrows pointing towards Palpatine, and the Jedi just don't even see it.
I know. I was like, the Zillo Beast is a comrade. He like gets that Palpatine's actually the bad guy. So we should have all been listening to him the whole time.
The Zillo Beast
yeah,
is more open to the Force than Yoda is. He can sense the bad vibes from way far away and goes towards him.
yeah, it's like I'm gonna take this on. Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought the reason I didn't love it was because I've seen it. I've seen a lot of Godzilla movies as a kid, and this was pretty close in line with King Kong, which is hey cool. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. I didn't like I said I didn't love it because I'd seen the story before uh, in those Godzilla films and then in King Kong, but you know it was fine. Got to see, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ayla Secura and Ahsoka Tano again, so that was fun. But I didn't love it, you know? It's just
Yeah, I gave it kind of also like middle of the ground scores. It looks like we all are kind of in agreement for the
Mhm.
most part there. Because it is, yeah, a bit like predictable in that sense, but I did really like the like proton bomb explosion. Like
Mhm.
that was really cool. And even the effects of like the sinkhole forming and yeah, I loved how that was shot and animated. So that got some higher points for me. And the like, I don't know, something about a sinkhole and being like swallowed up into that. That's really scary.
Yeah.
And
Guess y'all
they
live in
were
the Midwest. That happens more often over there, doesn't it?
yeah, and Mace was even talking about how like we need to send search teams down there like to recover bodies. So there was a lot of casualties within these two
yeah.
episodes. I even think in that second episode where like that one clone is like, "No, sir, like take R2 and like go off," and then he immediately gets
Yeah,
Smushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
or like the guy that's just like, "If this thing can cause as much damage as they say, what are these blasters gonna do?" And he's like, "Oh, shut up, Six," and like just
Yeah.
immediately get taken out by a door, like
Right. They had like 100 tanks lined up to blast it away, but like none of them, like, why are they even there? None of them take a shot at it. The beast just like breaks free of the facility and walks away, and everyone's like, oh, I ain't messing with that. That's not my problem anymore.
well, I don't know how many like old Godzilla films you've seen, but that's like a total trope where they have these tanks that roll up with these like electric cannon things on top of them, and they're totally like little miniatures, and Godzilla just kind of kicks them around.
Mhm.
Like, but that's definitely taken out of those 1960s, 70s Toho films, which was cool. I was like, okay, I definitely seen this before,
Mhm.
but
And
I
so
don't know.
how many like limbs did it have like 3 arms?
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
It
It
had
had a
like
cool body kind of shape. Yeah, 3 arms, one
it
head, three
reminded
legs.
me of the purple monster from Monsters Inc.
Was just thinking that. I was gonna say, it looks like
Really?
Randall. Yeah,
Randall.
Randall. I
Yeah.
literally was gonna say that. Looks like Randall from Monsters Inc. meets Godzilla.
Yeah.
I never made that connection. Yeah, Randall always creeped me out.
Really?
Yeah, that movie was too scary for me.
He was my favorite as a kid.
Randall's your
Just
favorite.
So wait,
misunderstood.
when the Zilla Beast is cloned again in the Bad Batch, doesn't it have like some cool like bioluminescence or like glow? Like, doesn't it glow or something? Or did I make that up in my mind? Because I know
Uh,
that some Godzilla glows.
I don't remember it glowing. What I
Huh.
remember from the Bad Batch is like it's much more like an alien film. Like it looks kind of like a xenomorph.
Oh,
It's like much smaller. It doesn't get big. You don't even know it's a Zilla beast
it
till like
gets
the next
bigger. Yeah,
episode.
that's right. It
Yeah,
grows. And
just
that's what I was
xenomorph.
I had remembered that and was waiting for that part to happen here and realized that it's already just that big and it's just kind of impenetrable. I do
Mhm.
like when Anakin goes up to it, like tries to hit it with his lightsaber, and it's like totally
It's like, what the
useless.
heck?
Yeah.
What the heebie jeebies is happening in here? Why does my lightsaber not cut through this guy? Yeah, that would be a pretty scary thing to realize. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill this monster, and then like, I am an ant compared to this thing.
Humble yourself.
Yeah.
Sit down.
My MVP for this episode has to be R2.
R2D2.
Your favorite character,
My
Brian. He
homeboy.
really did pull through. He uses every once in a while he'll use his OP-ness to actually like bring someone like with him. Like I always forget that R2 can fly, and that's so OP of him. And then Anakin's just like, let me just jump on your back and wee, and then
just zoom away.
yeah. Also, Anakin crashes his plane at one point. His plane, whatever. And there's no reason it doesn't blow up because like it lands like he like nosedives into a cliff and it just like stops there. And the Zillobeast is like, oh, I'm gonna go smush that. And he's like, let me get out of here. Like, dude, how's that not blowing up?
The plot armor.
So
amazing.
unrealistic. It took me out of it.
It's the Force. That's what I love about Star Wars. There are no plot holes because I can just say the Force did it.
Or it's a clone.
Yes, or they just cloned him. Dark science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew. You know?
Right.
That's all I need. That's the why. Okay, I understand and I have no
The
complaints.
dark side leads to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural.
It is super unnatural, but so does the light side. I mean, there's man, I'm thinking of all these episode 9 tie-ins now that I want to get to later. But like, yeah, I don't know.
Why wait?
Why wait? I did have a couple other points I would like to get through before we I want to say something about these episodes before I get too off the path. You were saying R2 is your favorite, is the goat of this episode. I was shocked at C-3PO's power. Did you notice how far 3PO fell and took like 0 fall damage? That's a Padme. Anakin was like holding Padme from that same height, like, oh, you're gonna die straight up if I drop you. But 3PO somehow able to take that and just walk away from it like a boss. I think 3PO has some underappreciated powers. Just like people forget about R2 flying. I think 3PO's
C-3PO. He's like the Kirby of the Star Wars universe. Like he doesn't do a whole lot, but if he like B down on you, you're just a rock. Yeah, you're gonna get sent to the stars.
I wouldn't want to get pummeled by George. You know what is that move? You flip over the ropes, you do a front flip, and you land on. That's a wrestling thing.
I'm thinking of
pile driver
falling off of the building, but doing like the big like arm thing that he like crushes someone down.
Into the Zillo Beast's neck.
Yeah,
that's what 3PO should have. He should have just aimed for the Zillo Beast's neck. And
then you hear like the WWE theme music playing, and
it's C-3PO
in the chair.
And he'll get his time. I will say I am mad that 3PO didn't get to use Chewbacca's bowcaster in episode 9. I know they filmed that. I know 3PO got kills and that they just cut it from The Rise of Skywalker. All right, now I'm on that.
Really?
How
do you know that?
Rant.
Really?
Because they had him on the poster with Chewie's bowcaster. There's no way they would have put it on the poster if he wasn't supposed to use it. He literally just carries it in the movie. It's probably one of the many scenes they were just too ashamed to release.
Does C-3PO ever get like a proper kill?
What?
Does C-3PO ever get a proper kill? He's pretty passive, right?
Support, yeah. He helps out on the Falcon while they're
and like he might like distract someone and someone like falls off or whatever. But like for C-3PO to get like a straight up like headshot kill would make him easily more of a top 5 droid.
I want to see it. In fact, that's just another thing I can include in my own fan fiction just because I wanted to see it. Yep. 3PO he just takes out a whole squad of stormtroopers with one of those blasts. Maybe it knocks him on his butt. I mean, I know, protocol droids probably aren't very,
No, but he needs a kill.
He deserves it.
These 2 episodes for me, they got the highest marks when it came to immersive universe. Just because we're introducing kind of like a new mythical creature to the world. We also have the new race of, what are they called? The Ugus or whatever.
I'm not sure. Are you talking about the Doug?
The Doug. Yeah,
Doug's.
the Doug Urus. Yeah, Doug
Doug-
Urus.
I
They like
think.
stand on their hands and then like
Yeah,
use their feet and they're like I don't know. It was weird. It was very weird. But
that's.
it was better weird than a couple episodes ago when we saw those like girls with like the weird faces and the weird sideways eyes and stuff like
Oh,
that. Yeah. This was
yeah.
still unsettling and weird, but I was like, I get it.
I do hate to break it. They have been around actually since the Phantom Menace. That is the race of
Oh.
Sebulba, which is
Oh.
kind of another cool retroactive tie-in with this planet being Malastare and Sebulba being, you know, the species from that planet. Because one of Qui-Gon's lines in that movie is they have pod racing on Malastare, very fast, very dangerous, and I'm that kind of makes retroactively Sebulba seem more like a protege or more like, you know, this impossible to defeat kind of villain to Anakin at that moment, because, you know, he's from the planet that pod racing is like known for.
He's like
So
the
I don't
Dale
know.
Earnhardt of Malastare.
Of yeah, probably the galaxy is what it seems like at the point of the Phantom Menace. So just another reason to love that movie. That whole pod racing sequence is amazing, and the Doug are a cool species. They walk on their hands. I think that's pretty sweet. I would love to see like what a Doug Jedi would fight like. I'd probably hate to
Ooh.
fight him. Yeah, he's just got like the low ground on you, just like swiping at your feet. That sounds terrifying, and I do not want to encounter that.
Yeah.
And their feet are their hands.
Their feet are their hands, and they got to be strong because legs are strong. So I wouldn't want to get punched by one.
Well, I mean, I feel like their legs are just like our arms.
They're shaped like legs. I don't know. It is a very weird anatomy that I do not
They are
understand.
shaped like legs. They're not like additional arms.
I mean, I don't know. Do they have
It'd be
opposable
really
thumbs?
funny if Sebulba had like human-looking feet.
I think they got like 3 big toes or something. Let me just look up Sebulba's feet.
Just like not functional feet.
Yeah, that's enough. 4. Yeah, they got 4. They're only missing 1. Yeah, they're fine. That would be terrifying. Honestly, I was like scared of Sebulba as a kid. Doug is
Really?
probably the one.
Yeah.
I don't know what is y'all's creature that you would, or species that you least want to get in a fight with, but I think a Doug is mine.
Yeah. Oh, the lead. I mean, what about a Rancor?
Okay, let's think more like
Sentient.
one-on-one. Maybe that's. I mean, maybe Rancors are sentient. Who knows?
Something in your,
Something you
like,
could theoretically take on. You know.
Hey, we're picking something like that's up to our knees.
Yeah, the
Sebulba.
humanoid scale.
All right. The thing I'd be the most afraid of. And Wookiees, are they too tall? Are they out of the range?
No, I guess Wookiees count. Yeah, they're huge and very strong, and they'll tear your arms off.
I don't know. Rhodians would scare me in real life. Like if I actually had to look at them.
Mm-hmm. Is it
Mm,
the gigantic black
The eyes and like
Yeah.
pupilless eyes. Yeah, that would
Ugh.
freak me out.
Stop Rhodian hate.
I disagree. Let's keep it going. And I've been hating on Trandoshans as well a lot recently because I'm rewatching Bad Batch season 2. Of course, we know what happens with Sid. That's something I had to like maybe come to terms with. Like, yeah, that betrayal sucks, but also she is a Trandoshan, so I mean,
Brody was onto that one from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't even remember who it was.
Sometimes it sucks to be right.
I don't remember who was the Trandoshan?
Sid
Oh yeah.
from Bad Batch.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot all about her.
Sneaky
Tried. I kind of actively tried to forget about her.
I don't understand why. I don't get all the Bad Batch hate from you.
I mean, I think the Bad Batch is better than the Clone Wars so far.
Okay.
That's what Brian was saying last week.
Yep. I don't think that's that crazy. These first 2 seasons, it's kind of rough.
But I mean, like, when I think of like the seasons as a whole, and we had kind of talked about this last week, the Clone Wars is delivering on all of the things that I, as a fan, would want to see. And especially putting myself in the time frame of when these were released and you're in like a drought of Star Wars, that I think would add like so much more favor to all of these scores if we were reviewing it within that time frame too. Because we'd be like, oh my gosh, we get new lore, we get new Jedi, we get new stories. Like
Hmm.
It does so well at doing that. And even though these scores are a little bit lower, like I still am really pleased with the second season of Clone Wars. I think is much stronger than the first season.
Mhm. I don't know if I would
Yeah.
say much stronger, but yeah, I definitely overestimated how into it I would be. I mean, definitely some episodes more so than others, but I am very excited to get to season 3 when like the crazy stuff starts happening. But yeah, a lot of the stuff in this season I like the idea of a lot more than the execution of. Like having Godzilla in Star Wars, that's freaking cool. We
Mm-hmm.
also had Kurosawa in Star Wars, the Fallujah episode, and that was freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still the kind of thing like if your characters aren't that like I don't know if they don't do anything unique or new or interesting, then you just kind of forget about them anyways. So you got to ground it in like the relationships and the story that you're trying to tell overall over the entire series.
Yeah.
So it is nice to see a little bit of Anakin and Padme, see a little bit of their, awkward workplace dynamics where they're going to disagree a lot because Padme is like super pacifist, and you see Anakin say like, I don't know, I was ready to kill the thing. I don't know why you care so much. And you also see a little bit of him. He's willing to lie to the Dugs and things like that. Like all the characters are very in line with who they are, but at this point in the show, it's like nothing super unique or interesting. So that's, I think, where these episodes were the weakest for me. And I thought there was a missed opportunity to talk about some politics with the bomb. Like that's a crazy weapon that they developed for this episode. Like it just destroys all droids and it leaves organic beings unharmed. Like that's like an ace card. It's over for the Separatists if the Zilla Beast doesn't come and make it look like this big horrible thing.
Was that the opposite of what that other guy created in season 1? Do you remember that when he created a bomb
The
that would,
virus.
yes, where it would decimate anything organic, but leave the droids unharmed?
That's a really good observation. That is exactly
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that is the opposite.
That is the counter. That's the counterplay.
Your move.
That's really interesting. I do like seeing.
Yeah, because I was like, where did because we saw it when they went to that other like country with like the pacifist animals or people, whatever they were. I just insulted animals and people by not actually naming the correct species. But we know what I'm talking about.
We're talking about Naboo, like the.
No, remember the little monkey guys? The healer?
Oh yeah, those guys. That was on.
It was in season 1.
It was in season 1 with Ayla Sakura in that episode,
yes.
right?
Yep.
When Anakin crashes.
Yep.
Yeah. What about those guys?
I don't know.
They're great. I love them.
Great.
They're my favorite little monkey guys.
It looks like for this season, we have the Clone Wars. How many episodes are left of this season?
There is one more arc left of 3 episodes featuring ya boy.
Yo-Yo Ma?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jedi
right.
Yo-Yo Ma.
Jedi. That sounds like
Boba Fett.
No, Boba Fett. Baby Boba Fett.
So it's okay. So there's 3 more. Well, as it currently stands, the season's sitting at a 71.6%, which is a drastic improvement from season 1 at a 58.2. So that's something. It looks like this arc for the Zillo Beast ranks at a 67.07%. So that's not super high. But also compared to all the other arcs, I mean, obviously, we're assuming the show's just going to get better and better. Right now, it looks like that ranks number 5.
Number 5.
Of
what
all
is it right
of the arcs from season 1 and 2 to this point.
Oh, okay.
Is that lower than yeah, what is it like right underneath?
It is underneath. We have season 1 Ryloth, which was the last few episodes. It looks like then underneath that we have Return to Geonosis from season 2.
Which was that 4-episode arc.
Yep. And then we have the season 1, the Maradoon episode arc. I don't remember that one. And then we have the magic of the holocron.
Mm,
which was the beginning of this season.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I definitely think I'd put it under those, especially Ryloth. I don't know, big fan of Ryloth.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
That one's like just super. I don't know. It's gritty. It's like it's a war movie. It's got heart.
Mhm.
It's got a little kid they got to save. They did the whole Mandalorian trope before it was
Mhm.
cool. But yeah, I think the Zilla Beast fits pretty comfortably underneath there. Like, yeah, it's fun stuff, but definitely like one of those that maybe there's a reason why they never or they weren't ever able to go back to the storyline. Like, it seems like they really lose interest in a lot of the stuff they established in this season. Like later on in the show, like the bounty. This is the bounty hunter season, right? And we're about to pretty
Just
much
kinda
wrap up
drops
all those
off.
storylines. Yeah. But I don't know. That's how I feel about this. It was okay, and I'm super excited to get back into the Bad Batch, and I'm gonna go back and watch that Alien episode.
When does that kick off again?
The 22nd? So it's gonna be perfect timing with, or is it the 21st?
21st and
calendar.
22nd. Yeah. So next week we'll finish season 2 of the Clone Wars just in time to walk right into Bad Batch season 3. How
Perfect
exciting.
timing. Oh yeah.
Are we excited? You don't sound excited, Amanda.
I'm excited. I'm really
You are
excited. I am mostly invested in Omega's journey, and I can't stop thinking about something that our friend Alanis from the Pod Ones was saying when we were talking about our theories for the Bad Batch. So I can't claim it as my own idea, but she was anticipating that maybe all of them, in order to save Omega, will at the end like end up sacrificing themselves. And you know me, I'm always rooting for the most amount of death in a finale. So
I don't think they make it out of there though. I'll give you that.
yeah, and I think that would be, well, because I already said, I don't know if you were here when I said it, Brody, but if Tech comes back alive in any episode, the episode's getting a straight 0. Solid zeros. Tech has to stay dead.
I don't feel like he will though.
I don't really have a lot of faith in them keeping him dead, but like if he did, as much as I love the character, like I think
It cheapens it.
it really, really
That's the
does.
whole
And that
point.
episode specifically, like that moment happened and it had so much weight to it, despite every other resurrection we've had in Star Wars so far. I think Tech's death felt like it had way more gravity than most other deaths.
He made the choice to sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
so if you take
out of
that choice
consequence.
away, that makes, that's bad writing. So that's why they just shouldn't do it. So they don't get a 0 from me.
But
I'll never forget Rise of Skywalker's Chewie's fake death.
yeah.
That didn't bother me as much as the dagger did.
What about the dagger being
Where it's
the
like,
Goonies
oh, look,
thing?
landed right here, and we're like, oh,
That
look,
was
it lines up
cool.
just perfectly right here.
I like the dagger. I love
think
the Goonies.
concept of it is interesting, but it's like, how old is this dagger? Who sat here and carved it? And how long? You
got to read the comics to know.
Yeah, that's what I love when I watch a movie. Now I gotta go read these comics to understand this film.
I just love that they happen to land on the right side of the water to be able to be in the convenient location to be able to read the dagger map.
Hey, it was the Force. The Force guided them there.
The Force was working overtime for them on that time. Yeah.
It was
pretty
very
pivotal
cool.
moment.
That's one thing too that you see all the time in movies that I'm just kind of over. Like at first with I am Iron Man. All right, that's fine. And then the next time around was I am all the Jedi. I'm like, all right, I see what you did there. And then finally, I am good. Like, stop.
Oh no.
Claiming who you are and then evaporating the enemy. Like it's a weird Hollywood trope that like I'm gonna say who I am and then I'm going to make you vamos.
I am.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because the hero's journey is about finding self-identity, and it's supposed to be this triumphant, like, I know who I am and what my purpose is. It's not just who I am, it's what my purpose is. I'm here to kick your butt. And because like
So bad.
Rise of Skywalker came out the same year as Avengers Endgame, and it felt like they were really trying to like wrap them both up. They're trying to do the same thing in 2 movies, and then like partway through editing Rise of Skywalker, they were like, "Wait a second, we shouldn't copy this directly, so let's just cut the movie in half and see what happens." Just just rush the hell out of it, and I think that was a big mistake, and I think they should. I think there's a good movie in there. I think I love all the tie-ins to the prequels. Actually, I do think it justifies Revenge of the Sith quite directly, and I really am annoyed by all the people who hate this whole Rey has force healing thing. Why couldn't they just heal Qui-Gon? Like, no, that's exactly the point of like her discovering these ancient texts. That's knowledge that the Jedi were keeping from, the majority of the Jedi population. Even Anakin says, I know there are things about the Force that they're not telling me. That's when he's literally seeking this, way to save Padme. That's what his frustration is. And I think this, including that in Rise of Skywalker was a really good way to bring that story full circle and to justify, the sequels existing for some reason, and to justify this own movie doing its own thing. But like, I think Rise of Skywalker it has to be 3 movies in one. And it doesn't really do any of them great just because it's so rushed. But I think there's a lot to flesh out there. I think there's a lot to explore. And once we see more tie-ins and more expanded universe stuff, then, and especially with like the Palpatine's resurrection, I think the kids that grow up with that just being a fact are going to have a lot better time like appreciating, the overall story. Because there are a lot of planted in The Force Awakens that make you think that there is a connection between Snoke and Palpatine, right? They play Palpatine's teachings when, the first time you see Snoke, and he has a lot of similar dialogue in The Last Jedi as well. So like, I think they kept it ambiguous enough that they could kind of go with, whatever the vibe was. I knew that, because they were just trying to react to, what the fans said a little too harshly, in between these movies. But overall, it's ambiguous enough that the people that grow up with it are going to actually love it. And then they're going to hate the new stuff that, episode 10, whenever that comes out. Hopefully not. I never want to see episode 10 be the title of a movie.
Oh, God.
9 is just such a beautiful number. You can't leave it as a trilogy of trilogies, then just it's never going to end.
Did you hear that Jurassic Park is starting their 4th trilogy?
A 4th trilogy?
That's what it looks like. They're starting another film, Jurassic Park. Oh, no, wait. This is their 3rd trilogy. Sorry. They've only done 2 so far.
Okay.
They're starting a 3rd trilogy.
I thought the old one had like 4 or 5 in it. I didn't see all of them.
Well, the first one had 3.
Okay.
And the second one had 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 trilogies. And and now that looks like they're starting their 7th film.
Good for them.
What's it called?
I mean...
I don't know. But I'm pretty confident it's going to be bad because
Jurassic Universe. They're just expanding beyond the world.
Yeah.
I know the guy who did it has been on like the Fast and Furious movies and some other like high octane action movies. So I'm pretty confident it's going to be a horrible movie. But I will see it opening night.
Okay.
I'm happy for you.
And
for my husband, so he has someone to go with because I'm not
ready
to
get hurt again. They're usually terrible films.
If they would take the like Godzilla -1 approach to Jurassic Park, that would be really interesting.
And what's funny
they
is
weren't
like
just a like masculine movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny because like Jurassic Park, I feel like should have an easier time than Godzilla to take itself seriously, because that's literally the whole like.
It's like probable.
It's probable, and it started that way, and it's one of the best films of all time. And then from there, it's just like, well, we've outpaced the book, so we're gonna throw this at you. I don't know, just another example of Hollywood writers probably, I don't know. I mean, they were probably, their day job was like Starbucks barista, and then went straight into.
It's a thing where it's like you can tell that type of project is picked and chosen by the producers and the board members, and not because like a writer was like, I've been working on this project and this passion of mine for so long, and I have this brilliant story to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's about what's a more marketable movie, not what's a better movie, and that's a lot of Hollywood. And that's I mean,
Western
I'm not
film,
gonna pretend that Star Wars hasn't always been that. But like the prequels definitely get a lot of criticism for being exactly that. And man, I'm just on a tear against prequel fans.
Yeah.
In the Battlefront chat, I was talking mad trash on the
Why?
prequels.
Why?
Oh, because I'm just tired of hearing the same 3 talking points about the sequels, which actually this brings me to my hot take. Y'all want to just transition
Let's do
into
it.
that segment? Let's do that.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It's hot takes time, and Brian's ready. Well, he's on mute.
I've got one.
Yeah, he's
I'm
ready.
waiting for it to auto. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna start with the hot take. Rey is just not a Mary Sue. She's just not. Like that is like the most annoying thing to hear. Because like they show pretty clearly at the beginning of the movie, she's been through some stuff. She's been on her own on this junk planet her whole life. She's clearly had to fight people off of her before, and she's trained with a melee weapon. And most of all, she was able to do all that while staying a kind person, right? And that she, at this point in the storyline, she's open enough to the Force to let it guide her in her duel against Kylo Ren, whereas he was distracted by this thing that was supposed to empower him, by the death of his father. Supposed to, help him overcome his past and channel his rage, but it weakened him. And all of that is very clearly, I think, is very clearly portrayed in The Force Awakens, but it is also double explained in The Last Jedi. And I think Rey gets a very bad rap. I think she gets way too much hate for things looking easy to her. Like, I think even in the choreography itself, you see in the duel in the forest, like she's just kind of swinging around and getting lucky. Kylo Ren is being arrogant and flashy. He's using the prequel spins, and they're completely unnecessary and unhelpful in a fight against, someone who's just like trying to take your head off with a baseball bat. Like it just doesn't work as good. And I think that duel doesn't really come down to power. That's another thing people really latch onto is like, is she more powerful than Kylo Ren? Or because this person beat this person, they're more powerful? That's not exactly how it works. Like, I don't understand, why you have to assume that that's like the said and done final word on who's the stronger character.
We're not arm wrestling.
No, yeah, it's not like a Dragon Ball Z laser beam contest. Yeah. I mean, except when it is in Episode 9. But also on top of this, there's one line in The Rise of Skywalker that I love. It's from Yoda when Rey is being visited by all these Force ghosts. Qui-Gon says, "You're not alone, Rey," and then Yoda says, "Alone? Never have you been." I think that sums it up pretty clearly right there. All the Jedi were with her that whole time, protecting her because she was the next chosen one, essentially. Like, she was the dyad. She was Kylo Ren's equal in the Force. And I think the Jedi had been there her whole life. And even if she didn't train with the Force exactly at that moment, she was open enough to it because she was a good person and because she was like their last hope. Mm-hmm. And then she does train in Episode 8. She absolutely does train with the lightsaber in Episode 8, and you see in between 8 and 9 she trains. So at the time of Episode 9, she's definitely not a Mary Sue, but even in The Force Awakens, I say nay.
How does that have anything to do with the prequels, my guy?
I got a little away from myself. I think it's because
the love of your life.
No, it's prequels. It's the prequels fans that pretend they're perfect masterpieces, and then they just have absolutely nothing good to say about the sequels, except they all go after the same 3 talking points, which are literally not even true sometimes. There's actually explained in the films. I think people, when you see a movie, and you should form your own opinion about it instead of go to YouTube and let this clickbait, toxic, hating culture fuel what your first instinct is. Because the first time I saw The Last Jedi, I actually did not like it at all. But then I actually watched it right after. I got 2 tickets back to back, went right back to the theater. And then as I walked out, I was like, that movie's perfect. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, and it's never going to drop. And I mean, since then it has dropped. I don't think it's perfect. There's a lot I would do differently. But there's so much to appreciate in all of the sequels that if you just kind of assume they're all bad and you're only able to look at that, at least you got to treat the prequels just as fairly, right? At least you have to take
Yeah.
the movies, you have to take that same approach to
Oh
whatever
yeah.
you like.
If the sequels suck, the prequels definitely suck. You know what I mean? Like
now this was not a take. This was a keynote presentation. So whittle this down for me into a singular take. What are we really saying here?
Rey is not a Mary Sue. That was the start of the rant.
Disagree.
okay.
Why, Broderick? Give us your talking points.
Listen, Rey is an interesting character. I'll give you that. I enjoy watching Rey on screen. I love Daisy Ridley's portrayal of her. Bright-eyed, curious, but man, she jumps onto the scene and she is just OP. And from the jump, right? Like Luke is over here struggling to learn the Force. And she just out of nowhere, whop, brings in that lightsaber. Not a problem. She's in the middle of the forest. She looks confused. Kylo looks confused. And it's just like she might as well have done that shrug that Kylo did that last season. Like, I don't know. The writers. And like, where's this going? JJ doesn't know. Neither do I. But let's fight, Kylo. And so, anyways, they go into that fight. Next season, they're like, is she pretty OP? They actually, next episode, I'm so used to these Disney Plus shows now. The next episode, she isn't that OP in the The Last Jedi, right? Like they really humanize her and show off her weaknesses and struggles within that and finding herself, which I really appreciate. And then you bring back JJ and they're like, well, we got to make her like the chosen one part 2. Why? Well, now you're forcing me to give you an actual answer. So I'm just going to say Palpatine because I don't know. And I'm like, the reality was you didn't have to make her crazy powerful in the end. It could have been a one-off. Like what we're talking about here is her force grabbing that lightsaber from The Force Awakens. That could have been a crazy one-off sparked by the direst of needs to save a friend. And the way it was supposed to end with Colin Trevorrow, which I don't have much faith in him as a director, but how it was supposed to end, there was nothing in there that indicates like, oh, she's this super OP character. But JJ turned her into that in the end by making her Palpatine's descendant, who has all of these powers, who's not only Palpatine's descendant, but she is all of the Jedi. And she is critical to being not only that, but her identity is also Rey Skywalker. Like, you made her so many things in one movie. She totally is a Mary Sue by that last one. Like, The Rise of Skywalker just kind of made her one. Like, we don't really know what she is, so she's everything.
Well, how are you defining Mary Sue? Because to me, it's more about not earning it or not deserving that title, where I think in episode 9, she has at that point for sure.
I mean, I will say, I don't even know what it means anymore. Let's just...
It's been thrown out a lot.
Like, I don't even know what Star Wars is anymore. Like, the prequels are so much better than the new trilogy, because at least by the end of it, I understand what I just saw. Whereas I watch once I get through, I love The Force Awakens. It might be one of my favorite Star Wars. It's like I said before, it's my favorite Star Wars movie. The Last Jedi, I'm like, okay, like I wasn't expecting that, but I'm still down. That third movie failed so hard that it just makes the whole thing not watchable.
So I'm just gonna chime in real quick and say that the first time I saw Rise of Skywalker, I left the theater and Jake asked me what I thought about it, and I cried and I was like, I think I liked it. And I was like crying because what I took away from that movie and seeing it in theaters especially was like the huge catharsis at the end. Like the emotion and like the everyone hugging and like being together is what you leave the theater kind of with. And I felt that love and that emotion so much that my body was so confused because I was like, I felt that emotion, but the rest of the story, like I got whiplash from being like, how did we get here? How did we get there? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But to your Brody, I'm actually really impressed that you argued that so well, because you got me around to the point where I was like, okay, I can kind of see what you're arguing, as far as by episode 9, they just like try to throw as much stuff on top of her to justify it. But I do agree, Brian, that I don't think she's a Mary Sue. I think she is the chosen one, and
No,
that is
the chosen
from the
two, I guess,
beginning.
at this point.
The chosen
Yes.
third,
Yeah.
chosen fourth. I think
Another
Leia
chosen
is the
one.
chosen one too,
You
in a
know,
way.
and
It's never
just
clearly
in
explained
the
how
same
that
way
works.
that is Broom Boy OP and a Mary Sue because he could grab the broom.
Yes.
You know?
Yes,
Apparently.
yes. Oh, Broom Boy.
I
Oh.
as a guy who like still will pretend a broom is a lightsaber, that I will say that scene, that was like the best way to finish a movie. It was like, that was like totally me as a kid, just looking up at the stars, wondering what my place is in this galaxy, you know? And I think I don't get the broom boy hate either, just because he can use like some force powers just come more naturally. Telekinesis is like, you know, the first thing Luke uses in episode 5, and you don't see him use it in episode 4. You don't see him trained to use that specifically either. So like, when are we releasing? I don't know.
Luke is
I
the
don't know.
most
Dude,
annoying
Luke's
character.
annoying as well. Like, I'm gonna
Luke
be
is a Mary
fair.
Sue for
Okay.
sure.
I like-
Yeah.
Anakin is the only great chosen one of those 3.
I
Well,
do like.
He was also a Mary Sue because he gets into that little like spaceship or whatever, and he's like, "Look, I can just do all this, baby." Like, you are 5.
I mean, he did have pretty like expert experience with pod racing.
Pod racing, but is
Pod
that the
racing
same
is
thing as flying a
On the
spaceship?
ground, essentially.
Some would argue
Apparently.
it's easier.
Luke also did kind of jump straight into an X-wing after, you know, never flying one before, and then getting
But
the
at
most
least
insane
Rey's
KD.
character had history flying ships before. It made sense why she
True.
knew how to navigate a ship.
She
So
just never left the planet. She's, you know, spent her whole life around scrap. She knows mechanics. She knows
KG
what
is on my
parts
side.
do. Rey had fighting experience. Yeah, that is one thing why I would love to see her. Would have loved to have seen her use the double staff like you see in the concept art for.
why did
Duel
we
of the
not
Fates.
get a dual saber like Maul
playing it
to
so
Rey?
safe.
That's
Yeah.
so easy. Instead of the one that like rotates out, because why does that make any sense that technology would be designed? Please. Oh my God, don't even get me started.
You mean the Rebels lightsaber, the helicopter?
No, the one that Rey has, bad Rey, where she like it's double and then she like flips it, and I'm like,
the Temple Guards have that. That's what the Temple Guards have.
that's
in
so dumb.
It's cool. What are you talking about?
It
No.
makes no sense.
I will say,
Ugh.
I did kind of jump a little in the theaters when Rey like brings out her sharp teeth. And I was
Mhm.
like,
It was a
"Ah."
good jump scare. See that. I think they cut a lot out of there too. There were shots in the trailer that they just like never happened in the movie, and I think her fighting Dark Rey was supposed to last a bit longer and be more of like a big metaphor instead of just this really quick jarring like, whoa, oh, Kylo Ren's here. Yeah, that movie it's definitely got a lot of JJ-isms, and I think like the lightsaber thing too. Like, there should have been a consequence to it shattering in episode 8, and then JJ is just like, no, let's just like glue it back together. And
Yeah,
I don't know. I think you could just replace her lightsaber with the one she has at the end through the whole movie, and not have to explain it at all. Oh, she goes and builds her own lightsaber just like Luke did between 5 and 6. Like, makes sense to me. And the yellow lightsaber is super cool.
I'd probably want to hang out the most with Rey of any Star
Definitely.
Wars character.
Hmm.
Maybe.
her and like Obi-Wan seem like truly the two like kindest, gentle people.
I wouldn't want to hang out with Obi-Wan.
Too much of a stickler for the rules.
I don't know. It's just like
He's a narc.
I just don't feel like that'd be fun to be like, all right, man. Like, I get it.
It's like hanging out with your teacher.
Yeah, it's like
He's
and
just
like
talking
hanging out with
politics.
Boba. He's not gonna say anything. Like, what am I supposed to just admire him all day? I mean, I would, but then like the second day would come around and be like, all right, I get it. Like, you're not gonna say anything.
Yo, KG's in the comments, and she says Rey got a temper though, and that is also one of the reasons I love Rey too, because she was kind of the first Jedi to find that balance And I think that there wasn't enough of that story told. And Brian, your point, like as far as where we're going with the sequels and how 9, like what it did well as far as bringing themes of the prequels through, I agree. It just obviously wasn't written in a way that was easy for us to appreciate that. And
Or
that's the
editing.
biggest disappointment, you know?
Yeah, I really do think it's like whereas the first Star Wars movie was saved in the editing room, this one was ruined in the editing
Yeah.
room. Like I do think that story is there. All that important dialogue is somewhere in the movie, but also with like losing Carrie Fisher, they had to cut out a lot of good stuff there. Which what they were able to do with her footage and dialogue was, I thought, pretty incredibly well done. Very respectful, but very like, you know, it allowed the movie to send her off in an appropriate kind of way. But other than that, like, yeah, I want them to release the
It'll
deleted scenes. Let's make a
it'll
petition
always
to
be the
delete the
biggest
releases.
flop. I think it's always going to be the biggest flop of Star Wars history.
I don't
Maybe
know.
for
I mean,
now.
there's been
We'll see
so
how
many
people feel about it.
bad movies. So many bad movies this last couple of years. I just got done watching Barbie on a flight,
Oh,
and
you watched it. What'd you think?
I didn't like it at all. Like I was just like, I felt like it was like it reminded me of Space Jam. You remember that movie in like the 90s?
The first one? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
product placement everywhere. Kind of an artificial story that I'm like, are we really like and I get it. Like it's kind of funny because it's all like based on people that are plastic. And it just feels like a very hollow story here. And at the same time, people are so upset that it's not like nominated for any Oscars. And I'm like, outside of Godzilla -1, I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen a good American film. Just in general,
Godzilla
like
-1 was not an American film.
that's you know what? Great point. That there you go. So I'm just trying to think of the last time. Now I'm watching The Bear on Hulu. That's a good American show right now. But when's the last time you've seen I mean, and don't tell me any of the Star Wars movies classify. Like when's outside of whatever. When's the last time you went to the movie theater and saw a good American film?
I have one. The
Mhm.
Renaissance World Tour film in
Okay.
IMAX.
The Beyonce movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
I didn't even catch that.
Okay.
Fair.
Well,
That's what IMAX is made for.
well,
I saw
obviously,
Oppenheimer in IMAX and that was a waste of my money. And I saw Renaissance World Tour in IMAX and I was like, this is what IMAX is made for. Is for like a real like music sonic experience, not like, yes, okay, Ludwig Göransson's music was really good and yeah, there was like, 12 seconds of like some up close flames from an explosion, but that was it.
yeah.
Sorry. We got into the Oscars, really. Yeah.
We did, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last movie I've seen in theaters that I walked out and I'm like, I was challenged. That was a good movie. Like,
I've seen like art films at the Alamo Drafthouse. I don't really remember them super well. Wes Anderson had a movie. What was it?
having to really think
like
hard
three
for the
movies
last
last year.
movie we saw.
I've liked every Wes Anderson movie I've seen. I think
saw
there's good directors
Saltburn
out there.
recently,
You just
and
gotta
I
look
give that a
harder.
5 out of 5.
Soul Plane?
Saltburn.
Oh. I was like, I've never heard anyone say I saw Soul Plane. Like, give it a 5 out of 5. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, tell
But
me
I don't
more.
I don't know if Saltburn is an American film.
Guys, we're having to think
don't know
hard.
what it's about.
This is telling.
I don't really go to the movies much, but I mean, I'm saying there's good directors out there. There's still good movies being made. A lot of them are just put on Netflix or HBO Max. The Batman. Okay, let's talk about the Batman. Thank you. The Batman
was a good one.
was
That
incredible.
one.
That came out like less than 2 years ago, right? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
You can make a good Hollywood movie with a big character like this. Just tell
What
a
about
good
like
story.
I didn't see it, but like Top Gun Maverick was supposed to have,
Top Gun
like,
Maverick was
saved,
Yeah.
like
cool.
cinema and whatever.
All right.
Okay, now
Yep.
they're coming. I just forgot.
That was another
I
good
got
one.
a couple.
All right. So there's maybe one good big budget film per year. Here's my hot take. Hold on. When was Top Gun Maverick released? That changes things.
2022.
23?
All right. There were no. I have nothing to base this on because I've done no research. But there are no good big budget films, like quality big budget films, released in 2023. Now I'm gonna do some research and see how much I actually buy that.
Okay, I won't disagree with you because I can't think of any off the top of my head.
All right, 2023 top grossing films.
So this is
All
like
right, let's
not
take a look.
Oppenheimer's not
Oh.
included.
Oh, okay. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was.
I haven't
number one
seen
for a
Poor
second.
Things yet, but that's on my list.
Okay, so Barbie was number one. That was not a great film. And obviously my opinion's fact. So like now we know. Like I can just
Yeah.
label that.
I've heard
Number
The Holdovers is really good.
The Super Mario Bros. Movie was not like an excellent film by any means. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was number 4, and Fast X was number 5. Case closed. Last year just sucked for films.
Well, this year's not going to, right? We got
Wonka, Little Mermaid, Mission Impossible. Didn't know they didn't know.
Mission Impossible, yes.
Elemental, Ant-Man, Transformers, John Wick. What is happening?
Oh, John Wick 4 was good, right?
Indiana Jones, Aquaman
Oh,
2.
sad.
It's all recycled. That's why you have
This
to.
is like 2023 sucked.
That's why when you actually look at all the films that are nominated for like Oscars this year, yeah, you'll see like an Oppenheimer or a Barbie like show up, but for the most part, it's not movies you're going to catch at the Marcus Theater, and that's for a reason. And Brody, I know you and I have talked about this offline about like, yeah, non-Western film being much better than Western film.
Yeah, like people are really upset that Barbie was snubbed. But my question is like what for
It
best
didn't-
film?
No, it did get a nomination for Best Picture. That's
Oh.
a thing. People were upset, I guess, because what's funny, I'm a big Oscar movie buff, I guess you could say. And when I first saw Barbie in theaters, I left and I said, unironically, Ryan Gosling should get a nomination for that. It was so good. It was so funny. It was so different from what he does. And lo and behold, Ryan Gosling got an Oscar nomination for his role as Ken. But Margot Robbie didn't get a nomination for her portrayal as Barbie, which
Is
people are
that
upset
snub
about.
everyone's upset about?
And they're upset that Greta Gerwig didn't get a nomination for Best Director.
So the
but
movie about female empowerment, the dude
but
is
America Ferrera also got
Exactly.
a nomination, but in my opinion, I didn't think her performance was worthy of one.
Yeah.
As much as Margot Robbie, I don't know.
I
Gotta
didn't
be
think
clear-
Margot Robbie needed one. I thought Ken, and if my favorite Barbie out of the Barbie movie was President Barbie, Issa Rae. Everything she said was so funny. She'd be like, "I've never seen The Godfather."
Yeah, I didn't have a problem. I like Kate McKinnon just in general.
Yes.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I liked her, but to me it was just like it was this story that feels like Clone Wars, where it's just like audiences will like this. Women are powerful. Don't you like that? We like that. We
Oh, you
have.
don't like this movie? So that must mean you
Yeah.
hate women.
Whereas like Andor, it's like no, Mon Mothma, like that's a strong female lead.
Mhm.
Oh, and like I think the same thing in Rogue One with Jyn Erso.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and argue I say the same thing with Rey, even though she's a Mary Sue, just because Daisy Ridley just carries that poorly written character so well. No, Barbie, look at some Star Wars female leads. Look at Carrie Fisher. That's this, even though that's a completely different film. Ultimately, I'm just
No, actually, if Carrie Fisher was alive, she would have been perfect to write that movie.
yeah. I think
I think
it
Carrie Fisher's Barbie movie would have been amazing.
you know what? I'm gonna buy into that. I
would
think I
see
agree
that.
with you.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is about that movie, I'll just say that like the screenwriter Diablo Cody, like that there's been a lot of different names that have been associated with getting that film made for years, like the past like decade or so. They've been trying to get it made. So to finally get it made and as well as it was done and as like sensitively as it looks at all of the lenses that it looks at is quite an achievement for like a Western like Mattel branded, story. But yes, it is
visuals were
also a
cool.
Kia commercial.
Yeah, I did like it visually. I don't know. I thought it was some cool
was cool.
sets. I love practical sets and things like that. And
Me
I think
too, yeah.
Barbie and Oppenheimer were both like that's what they were saying is like the filmmaking. You know, we're actually here to make a film, not
Right,
a
like when they're on the
franchise.
beach and they're just like on a plastic sand, so like the sand doesn't move, you know, like those little things.
Yeah, that stuff was cool. That's why I think
Yeah, I like that
Best
too.
Director is a very different kind of award than Best Picture. You know,
Right.
film a
Yeah.
great movie and it can turn out like not as coherent, you know, as your vision or whatever. But
What has Greta Gerwig done?
She did Little Women, which
I
is
heard
a
that was
5 out of 5
fantastic.
movie. Yes, I love that movie. She did Lady Bird, also 5 out of 5.
Lady Bird was super good. Yeah, that was way better than Barbie.
she's-
What?
Yes, she's great at telling. She is really great at telling women's stories. She was in Frances Ha, and I'm trying to think of anything else she's done. She's
doing the new Narnia TV show.
What? I didn't even know there was a new Narnia TV show.
I
Narnia
didn't realize it was a
Chronicles of
TV
Narnia.
show.
Chronicles of Narnia on Netflix. She is show running.
Wow.
I am so excited. I loved Narnia as a kid.
She's a great person to pin to that type of project. She can bring that storybook to life really
Lucy's
well.
like the
With
main
Art
character.
Barbie, she did a good job visually. Like I totally hear you with the aesthetic. Obviously, their marketing campaign crushed it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, I just want to be challenged when I go to a theater now. And like, I don't think there's a single film I felt
There's
that way
a
about.
movie I want to see called The Zone of Interest. I don't know if anyone has heard of that one. I think it's an A24 film, but that I think a lot of other Best Picture nominees will challenge your perspective more than Barbie will.
Yeah, totally. Which, hey, look, other people like Barbie. That's great. You're allowed to like it.
But now they're going to be like, oh, no,
I
we
like
need
women.
a Rubik's Cube movie, and now we need a Hot Wheels movie.
Oh no, for
and now
sure. There's a Nike movie. Like, it's gotten a little out of. That's actually already happening. It's
no.
the
Late-stage
Cheetos movie.
capitalism.
A Cheetos movie?
I did watch the Hot Cheetos movie or the Cheetah. What is that? What it was called? I don't remember what it was called. I'm a big Cheeto guy.
Okay, we're right back to where we were in the early 2000s, where we're like, what are we going to do this movie about? I don't know, White Castle and stoners. And it's like, we're just kind of throwing things out there. But now it's like, I feel like it's harder than the early 2000s because now Hollywood wants to be like really politically correct. And so like, I don't feel like Harold and Kumar.
But they still want to be commercially successful and politically correct, which is, you got to pick one or the other.
Yeah, so like Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle is just not getting made today. Lots of those kinds of comedies. You don't see those anymore either.
It did sound like, I haven't seen it yet, but that one Jennifer Lawrence comedy, what was that? No Hard Feelings.
Yeah.
That was a rom-com that was supposed to kind of bring back the raunchy humor of like kind of the earlier 2000s rom-coms that have kind of disappeared as of late. I've been, as much as I say that I'm a movie person, I have not watched that many movies this year. I've been on a Real Housewives kick. So
yeah, I've been on my anime phase finally. It's
finally
eventually gonna happen. Yeah, I just watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, and that is wild.
I've always wanted to see that. I've heard that that's like top
very
of the list.
psychological. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the visuals are gorgeous.
And isn't just one
Colors,
season?
Lasers. Yeah, so it ran out of budget, but then they made 2 movies after a couple of years. But that's where I'm at in my journey. That's how I've hit rock bottom and finally going through an anime phase. That's the point of my life that I am in. But hey, it's all uphill from here. And honestly, the anime's been pretty good. I was sleeping on it for so long. And I think there's a lot of good storytelling there. I love that it just like pushes the emotion to the next. And I want to see more Star Wars anime like Visions, which I think we are getting Visions season 3 this year. Is that right? Is it Visions or Tales of the Jedi that we're getting this year? Either way.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking up something else. I was thinking I was typing and I'm thinking like, oh, someone else is looking. You both would think that I'm looking it up though, because you heard a typing sound. Yeah, Visions, right? Pretty confident Visions. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Or no, well, KG for Tales of the Jedi. So that's
Tales
what
of
it
the
is.
Jedi and Bad Batch. And
I'm not.
Bad Batch in
good.
2 weeks. Can't wait for that.
I think the only reason I don't already consider it better than Rebels is because I'm not as invested in like the Bad Batch characters themselves, like Hunter and Wrecker, as I am with Hera and Kanan. That's like the biggest difference. But like the way, just the mechanics of it, the animation, there's just something new and fresh, environment wise, character wise, lore wise, every week, and I'm excited to get the franchise moving again. That's what it feels like. I've gotten too used to having a new thing come out every week, and I kind of sometimes really like it. Sometimes it gets a little oversaturated if they're not doing anything interesting, like Ahsoka kind of dragged on for the last couple episodes, and then Obi-Wan has its issues. But like other than that, I love having something new to discuss all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to that.
While I'm thinking ahead to Bad Batch and how I don't remember her name, but the scientist who is presumably Omega's clone.
Oh yeah.
I correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that will be sort of the first time that we're seeing like a clone interact with their like clonee. Really.
I guess that's true.
I guess maybe like Boba and Jango, but
yeah,
the Kaminoans at some point in the Clone Wars, surely, right?
But yeah, like
Oh, there's a whole episode about the Kaminoans and the clones training. I think it's the beginning of season 3, actually.
Oh, well, we're about to find that too.
Yeah,
no, but I think it'll be really. I'm really excited to see how, because so much of the later Star Wars has evolved around the idea of cloning and that type of capabilities, whether it's the Mandalorian, like the sequel trilogy, Bad Batch, all of this stuff has some type of clone plot to it. So I'm eager to see a clone of someone interact with their like donation or whatever. Yeah,
kind of like in an existential way.
Yeah,
like meeting your maker, like literally who gets
and like, are you guys actually the same person, or are, because she was raised in a different environment, does she have a totally different perspective of the world, etc.?
Right. Oh, I see what you mean. I misunderstood what you meant by cloney and cloner, but yeah, that will
like
be really
Omega meeting her clone, right?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, okay. Did you have a hot take to sneak in here, Amanda, before
I didn't have a hot take, but I had a question to pose to either of you, and that was going to be Zillo Beast versus Mythosaur. Who's your money on?
I can't say. What does a Mythosaur even look like? We've only got like an eye.
You don't even know.
Got a glimpse. They're big. Honestly, like Zillo Beast seems pretty unkillable. So just like if I'm assuming the Mythosaur is
but it got killed.
Other dinosaur,
it did get killed.
The Zillo Beast, eventually, but
pretty unkillable. But it immediately
unless you have that exact type of gas from Malastare. Like it's just not gonna happen, apparently. So
I would venture as far as say, like, if the Zillo Beast went up against Godzilla, it would get wrecked.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, have you just seen Godzilla's got plot armor for days? Like, there's no world that thing's walking off Monster Island.
Yeah, no.
Unscathed.
And we don't even really know what the Mythosaur's like powers are, special abilities,
Right. If Mandalorians could ride them, then they can't be that powerful, right?
Maybe they're just big, and scary.
Here's my thing. Did the Zillo Beast have it coming?
Zillo Beast did not choose to be a Zillo Beast.
I knew this was going to get us mad. No, he's just an innocent little creature. He's doing his thing the best he knows how. And he
was taken from his habitat.
And then he murdered people.
Yeah, because he wasn't home.
He murdered ants.
And then they're like, wow, look at this murderous thing. I can't believe
he murdered
civilians. Evil.
It murdered civilians.
He doesn't know the difference between civilians.
It's never even seen a civilian before.
Not his fault.
But now it's on Coruscant and it abides by our laws. So we get to hold it to that standard.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That feels wrong. As are many of the ethical issues in this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. Yes.
What else is unethical about this? You said there's many unethical issues posed.
Lying to the Dugs, should we,
Dropping
torture it,
proton
keep it
bomb.
alive? Would it be more humane actually to kill it? The friggin' nuclear bomb at the beginning of the episode that they never discussed, but that totally could have ended the Clone Wars. Maybe that was actually good for Palpatine, because maybe he didn't need the Clone Wars to end that quick, and that bomb would have, made it a little too easy. I don't know. I want to see I want to see the Oppenheimer movie based on that bomb. That's what the next. Yeah, I'll fit that into season 3 of Blood.
I would have liked. Okay, so here's my thing. This is what I think I want to do every week going forward, even though it's just going to be this week, and I'll never remember this ever again. I want to say what would have made it a 10 out of 10, right? What would have made it a perfect rank for me? And I think, yeah, the Zillo Beast had to die, but so did somebody else, right? Like, if we're going to lean into Godzilla, bring in a Dr. Serizawa character and have some guy that, like, yeah, the Zillo Beast, like, have us get attached to someone from the Dugs, like their leader. And he's not like just some, I get to do it, I want it. No, like, have him be someone we love and care about. And he's like trying to warn them, like, no, Jedi, don't do it. If you do it, we don't know what will awaken. And the Mace Windu's like, shut up, stupid. I'm gonna do this. Mace Windu blows a hole in the ground, and the guy says, oh no. And he goes, and he's like selfless, and he like tries to put up his army, and he dies, and it's the Jedi's fault. And now there's this like doctor that's there, and he's like, there's only one way to stop a Zillo Beast. And he creates this ultimate thing that's like, and then Palpatine sees like this whatever bomb that the guys made, and Palpatine's like, oh, we could use that to end the war, because anything I want can end the war, so please give it to me. And the guy is like, okay, but first let me go see the Zillo Beast for a second. And he's got the bomb in his hand, and he physically presents it to the Zillo Beast. Boom, he goes up in flames with the Zillo Beast.
And
now Palpatine
sacrifices himself.
He's like, yeah, he kills himself because he knows something. He's like, I don't know this Palpatine guy, but something's not right. And the Jedi are like, oh, sounds good. He's going to go get the bomb over there, and he's going to come back, and we're going to make plans, and the war's over. And the Jedi are like, that's crazy. He killed himself. And then Obi-Wan's like, it's like he knew something that we don't know. And Anakin wonder what it could be. And then that's end of the episode.
And then credits.
Yeah.
You're hired. I like it. I like it a lot. We'll get this thing moving. We'll put it in development immediately.
I'm just saying, like, get me to care a little bit about these characters. It's insane.
Yeah, it feels like there's no stakes really, other than the one, like, Republic guard who gets smushed.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, it's just a bunch of clones.
We did get a Wilhelm
babies
scream in
thrown
it. I don't know if you
I
caught
saw
that.
it right in the beginning.
Always
Yeah.
good. Love
Oh,
to
I
see
love
it.
that. Oh man. Well, it was fun. Wasn't great. Never is.
Such as season 2. But hey, I'm looking forward to next week with the Bounty Hunters, and then Bad Batch after that, and then eventually we'll get back to season 3. I'm excited for the future of content on this channel. I think we got a lot of great things to discuss in the future.
Can we just re-review the prequels for a minute? Like, I need a palate cleanse. I need something good.
Sure. I would love to do that. I'm super
Yeah.
down.
I would love a good palate cleanse from the animation and Clone Wars. I mean,
No,
even Rebels.
all the way
Even
to
that's it's not
CGI.
animation. It's just Clone Wars. I need like
The prequels are practically animation. They're all CGI.
Mostly animation.
there's still real people. And man, Hayden Christensen, I will refuse to like let anyone tell me he's a bad actor. Like
I love him.
the scene where he's like crying with Padme's reminiscence, whatever it is, like I don't know, I buy it. He's over the top, but he didn't have like it's got to be so hard when you're in a room that's green and everything you're
yeah.
acting around is entirely in your head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're like, all right, George, so what do I do? He's like,
Yeah,
act
I
properly."
bet George has the like worst direction to be. Be like, I don't know, just like kind of say it like a little bit differently than the first time, and yeah, just go.
Just imagine being in any room that's just blank.
Yeah.
No.
And for being the first people to ever make a movie like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, see, acting's gone a long ways, honestly, in the last 15 years or so. But I'm not gonna say all of Hayden's performance is great. I do think he's got moments of showing he is a very good actor, but like, yeah, it's just, Natalie Portman also sucks in that movie. So, what are we, obviously it's not the acting.
Yeah, but it's Natalie
The
Portman.
actress.
Natalie Portman's.
Okay, yeah.
She's
That's
incredible.
Liam
Yeah, sit
Neeson
down.
was stale. He wasn't that stale, but also the episode 1 had far more practical effects.
Yeah.
Compared to Attack of the Clones.
Well, practical effects. Yeah, there are a lot of models I've seen. Like, yeah, there's some really impressive like real models that they use. Even for the battle droids, they built them. But the clones aren't real in Attack of the Clones. Like, most of Geonosis is CGI for sure.
And it hurts my eyes when I watch it on like a 4K TV now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, put it away. Someone give me a VHS.
The craziest thing to me is like seeing parts of like documentaries with George Lucas on the set of Naboo Theed. It's crazy because I played so many hours of that map in Battlefront. I'm like, George, get down! You're in the sniper's view right there, because he's like right there in the middle of the map, and it's crazy how accurate that map is in the game. So just had to throw in my one Battlefront 2.
Wait, where is this?
Today
Where is this?
on Naboo, and on the like outside of the Theed Palace, like the big staircase, like all of that is like real practical stuff. Like there's a lot
you
of
can
pretty
visit
big,
that.
Yeah, a lot of it was just filmed in Italy, like the interior of that palace. But it's crazy seeing George Lucas just walking around because I'm just primed to like, oh,
watch out!
I'm gonna find cover. Yeah,
You just see George duck, dive, dip, and dodge.
yeah, just take a roll down the stairs. Yeah, ouch, those are big granite stairs.
Yeah, that game is so beautiful. I could talk for an entire hour of just how beautiful that game is. It's been an hour and 16 minutes, so I shouldn't. I've got a really long time on this podcast today.
We can do that. Maybe we can stream sometime. We should actually do that. We should have a little.
I bought a
joint
PS5 because of you. I made that for you.
for me.
And you haven't played me once.
I'm busy just playing by myself all the time. So no, serious. Let's do it. Let's play in a Duel of the Ranks stream sesh.
Ooh.
Amanda, would you get a PS5? And
I have an
Battlefront?
Xbox.
It's not.
Yeah, but you have a
cross-compatible.
PS5 too.
Jake has a PS5. I could use his.
There we go.
Yeah, and you have Battlefront too?
I don't know if he does.
It was really poorly received. It's probably like a nickel at GameStop.
It's probably
They're always
free
on
on
sale.
PlayStation, or whatever.
Yeah. We should do something on site Star Wars related sometime soon. That's a good Star Warsy thing. In May, are you guys going to this Dyad?
So doing
event?
DiadCon? Oh yeah, I'm still planning on that for sure.
You are?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I didn't know you were coming.
Yeah, always been coming since the day you told me to come to this thing because we're gonna go there.
All right, great. You can room with me. Amanda, are you coming still? Is Jay coming?
Probably not.
Wow, you are.
We're gonna be moving this early summer, so
Exciting.
I do.
Where's DiadCon? It's in Anaheim, KG. You want to come? I'm not gonna lie to you. The first thing I think when I meet listeners of the show, I'm just like, oh, that's what you look like. It's the same thing when I like meet people in person that I've been working with professionally for years over Zoom. I'm like, that's how tall.
Then you realize how tall people are in real life.
Yeah, that's always scary.
And when you're
I'm
not
not
very
a tall
tall,
guy.
you're just like, man,
I feel
you
you.
are. It's like
Now I'm really scared of you. Yeah.
I'm really scared of you. That's what I thought when I met Amanda. I was just like, you're so much taller than me. And then
Cool.
she grabbed me by my ankles, shook me with my lunch money. It's like, well, there we go.
There we go. That's what Amanda does when she meets you.
Leave me alone. She's like,
I
"You're
grew
doing a Star
6
Wars
inches
podcast."
in middle school, 1 year in middle school, and I remember sometimes getting teased about it. And my dad told me to say when someone's like, "How's the weather up there?" You say, "How's my butt smell down there?"
There you go. Got him.
Yo.
Well, I believe that is it for this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. That's the best place I could possibly end it on. So I think we're just gonna wrap it up here. Is there anywhere that listeners can go to follow us and check up on what we're doing and where we're at?
Check us out at dueloftheranks.com. That's pretty much where you'll find most of our stuff.
Yeah.
And YouTube.
And soon to be YouTube streams. I guess this
What?
is a YouTube stream, but also streams of video games.
Yeah.
All right.
Look at us. We're doing more things.
Let's
Well,
go.
that's this week's episode.
That is this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. I will catch y'all on the next one.
Bye.